North Carolina teachers took the day off on May 16th. They went to the state capital, Raleigh, to protest low education spending and low teacher salaries. Were they successful, and were their protests justified? I'll try to help you find out in today's video. Teacher strikes have been popping up all over our nation ever since February 22nd, when 20,000 teachers in West Virginia ignited the fire that would spread across our entire nation. States like Arizona, Kentucky, and now North Carolina are now protesting. They have been demanding increases in education budgets, specifically higher pay for themselves, other staff members of the school, and higher education budgets for the students. On May 16th, around 20,000 people, mostly educators, gathered the same exact day that North Carolina lawmakers go back into session. The event was called Advocacy Day, March for Students and Rally for Respect. It was created by the North Carolina Association of Educators. The details and rationale of the event were spelled out on a Facebook event page. It stated that North Carolina ranks 35th for teacher pay, about 9,000 behind the national average. When adjusting for inflation, educators are losing almost 12%, the third worst rate in the country. What is the average teacher pay in North Carolina? It's $47,985. Teacher salary has been a focus of every single state's teacher protest or strike thus far. A study by the Economic Policy Institute shows that the teacher pay gap between teachers and comparable workers has never been wider than right now. In 1996, the gap was only by about 1.8%, but it has increased since 2015 all the way to 17%. Will that gap ever be closed? Can that gap at least level off? Or how much larger can that pay gap become? These are scary questions. These are the types of questions that all teachers are having to grapple with right now. This study also showed that there's not a single state in our country that has teachers making just as much or more than other college graduates. On average, teachers are making just 77% of what other college graduates are making. NPR published a very enlightening graphic a couple weeks ago that shows the disparity between teacher pay and the cost of living for each state. For example, while it appears that Hawaii teachers are paid very well at 18th overall, when adjusted for cost of living, Hawaii falls to the very bottom of the list. Arizona, Colorado, West Virginia, and Oklahoma, all states that had strikes earlier this spring, can also be found at the bottom of this list, at 47th, 44th, 42nd, and 39th respectively. This list actually puts North Carolina at 33rd overall when adjusted for cost of living. The teachers in North Carolina, as in all the other states, are also striking on behalf of their students. Also stated on the Facebook event page for May 16th was the fact that the per pupil expenditure for North Carolina was $3,000 below the national average. This phrase, per pupil expenditure, refers to the amount of money that is spent on each individual student. According to a study done in 2015 by the Census Bureau, the national average PPE is $11,392. This study showed that North Carolina had a PPE of $8,687, which is the lowest within the entire Southeast except for Mississippi. So the question then becomes, what is it about North Carolinian students that should require such a lower amount of money for their education? I'd love to know what you think about how we allocate money for education and how we pay our teachers. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. Now, it is obvious what the educators in North Carolina thought about these issues, but what did the critics of Advocacy Day say? Advocacy Day, Advocacy Day. They called it a political stunt that inconvenienced families. The North Carolina Republican Party called it Teacher Walkout Day. These critics cited the fact that a lot of families depend on their children going to school so that they get fed, that it really inconvenienced families that are working that had to take the day off to watch their children, and a lot of them think that teachers should find some other way to let their voices be heard rather than taking the day off work. As of last week, Democrats in the Senate proposed a plan to provide $100 billion towards education. Apparently, the plan is to take half of that $100 billion and give it to teachers to increase their pay, and to take half of that money and allow it to repair facilities and create better environments for students to learn in. Democrats propose a reversal of last year's tax cut to help pay for this budget increase. How will Republicans respond to this? We'll have to wait and see. Something tells me they won't be thrilled. I would absolutely love to know where you're at on these issues. Do you think the actions of the teachers are justified? If we should increase the education budget, by how much? Or how should we? Does this proposal by the Democrats stand any chance? If you are a teacher and you are watching this and you want things to improve, it's up to you to do it. No one is going to do this for you. This past spring made that clear. What you do is up to you. But the world has shown us that just because you're a hero in the hallways of your school doesn't mean it's going to recognize you as one once you step out. Did you find this video informative or thought-provoking? If you did, let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. It's been real.